And what is up, people? Welcome to DK's vlog. Alright, today in South Africa we are celebrating Human Rights Day, so I wanted to quickly have a chat about what Human Rights Day means to you. Alright, I really hope that this sparks an open conversation, that we can actually have real chats about it, because I know that a lot of people have different feelings when it comes to Human Rights Day and what it means to us as South Africans. Alright, human rights is it's basic human rights for everybody all across the world, that we share the same things, most of them, I think all of them. I may sound ignorant right there, but I'm focusing just on South Africa for the purposes of today's vlog. Okay, so excuse my clothes. This is my home outfit. This is how I look. I'm wearing my husband's basketball jersey inside, and the thing I'm wearing is also not female. Anyway, right, so let's have real chats about what it means to celebrate Human Rights Day in South Africa. So Human Rights Day, the basis of it in South Africa started is basically based on a few things. First things first, freedom fighter Steve Biko. I don't know how many of you know him, but freedom fighter Steve Biko, who literally was one of the iconic people who fought for freedom in our country. He stood up for it, he fought for it, he lost his life for it. Also the Sharpeville Massacre that happened, where 69 people were shot and killed because they refused to walk around with their passes. Right, so in South Africa, just 22 years ago, we were living in something called Apartheid. Okay, it was segregation, where white people and black people were separated, and black people were given less rights. So black people were not allowed to walk in the big cities. Black people were not allowed to live in the suburbs. All black people were moved to segregated places like townships. Soweto is one of our biggest townships. Most people know it today. But Soweto came about from segregation, where people were moved and lost their land. They were moved from their farms. They were moved from where their family was for the longest times, because that land was now given to the white people. Anyway, I don't want to get into the whole debate of land and whatnot. I know that my parents have real feelings about the debate of land, but I'm not gonna get into that. I just want to get into, do we as South Africans know what Human Rights Day means for us? Do we appreciate what Human Rights Day means for us? So as South Africans, we love to braai. It's fun times, man. So every time we have a public holiday, mostly the first thing that we think about is, yay, I'm gonna braai. Yay, I'm gonna do this. Yay, I'm gonna sleep in. Guilty, right? But we don't really know why we celebrate certain holidays. So today being Human Rights Day, do we really know why we're celebrating Human Rights Day? Do we really know why this holiday is so important? Do we know why it is on this specific day for South Africa? So 21 March, not a few years ago, it was a while back, but there were 69 people that were killed in Sharpeville that refused to carry their passes. This is something that shocked me. I mean, I've always known about the Sharpeville Massacre, but I never knew this. The Sharpeville Massacre happened just outside a police station because the people had marched there saying that they no longer want to carry their passes, and that they would rather, that it was like a whole big thing, and they burned their passes right in front of the jail. And 69 of the people who died were shot in the back, which shows you that they were running away. And the response of the police commissioner at the time completely shocked me. I was like, how is it okay for any human being to even think like that? He said they were considered dangerous because of their ethnicity. So because they were black, they were considered dangerous. They had no guns. The time that gunfire was opened, they ran away. But they were considered dangerous because they're black. And you know what? I'm not saying that we must dwell in the past, but we know that this same mentality or the same stigma is still present today. We still fight the backlash of apartheid. It is still so real in our country, and it scares me that there is so many people who choose to be ignorant about it. But it is a real thing. It is a present problem that we're still dealing with. And another thing that really bothers me is that it seems to me, and I could be wrong, and if you were born post 1994, please comment below and tell me that I am wrong and show me. And I really don't think that it's all the kids that were born post 94. I really think that some do educate themselves and do know, but the majority of them don't know what's going on. And it's so easy to say that it wasn't my fight, I wasn't part of apartheid, but it still affects us, it still affects our economy, it still affects our country. We are still fighting and trying to reverse decisions that were made during apartheid, even today, 22 years into democracy. And these are still very real and present struggles. So in the upcoming month of April, because this is when we had our first elections, and we always looking back, and it's great and it's a celebration, but our country is still very young. In democracy, 22 years is not a long time, people. It really isn't. So, for example, the reason I say that the backlash of apartheid is still here is that even though we are all equal as far as it is written, there's still a lot of places where there's still a lot of inequality. There's still a lot of places where there's still... I'm not trying to find the right words to say this. There's still a lot of places where Black people are still suffering the consequences of apartheid. Racism in South Africa is still real. I feel that a lot of times we tend to say that racism is not a real thing in South Africa, but that's not true. Racism is still a big thing in South Africa. When I was in I can't remember, when I was in primary school, that was the first time that I was called the K word. Now, I did not grow up around racism. I was not surrounded by people who are racist, but I'm still confronted by racism on a daily. You can still see where people say certain things to you, and you're just like, oh, okay. Am I supposed to smile or what? Just today, in one of our South African restaurant chains, we had a little incident that was trending on Twitter, where there was an incident between two people that were fighting because their kids were fighting. I really call it a little incident because I feel like it could have been handled much, much better than that, but it became a racial thing. Why did it become a racial thing? It blew up. It was trending. The news picked it up. A few of the South African celebrities picked it up, and they were tweeting about it as well. It was basically parents that were fighting because their kids were fighting. And when the one parent came to confront the other parent, it just became like a big thing. Tables were being pushed around. People had to intervene. It was big, but for something so small, but because it was a white and a Black child, it became a big thing. I'm not going to say which child was which. It doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is it became a big thing, which shows you what? That we still deal with the realness of racism in South Africa. There's certain stereotypes that this is so true, that even us as Black people, we even hold against each other. When we will call people ghetto or hood or whatever, and we think just because I've got a little bit of a better education that I am better than someone else. And even in our democracy, in this modern day, we are still infringing on each other's basic human rights. Everyone has got a freedom of choice. You have a freedom to think what you think when you think it, and you have the choice to live your life how you want to live it. But yet we still want to put certain things on people because we think we know better, right? But all of this to say this, I feel that it is important as South Africans to understand what human rights mean to us, because as a people, our human rights were stripped away, literally stripped away. You did not even have the choice. You do not even have the freedom to sit where you want to sit. You were told where to sit. You were told where you could go shop. You were told where you had to live. So those basic human rights were taken away from us. And it scares me that in this day and age, there are still people who do not even know who Steve Biko was. How is that even possible? Like, what? Where people did not know who Steve Biko was, like, who still don't know who Steve Biko was. I have literally had this, where someone has asked me, who is Steve Biko? What? Right? Or where people, if you say, what happened in Sharpeville Massacre just absolutely is a disgrace, and they'll ask you, what happened in Sharpeville? So even though we're living in our democracy, we do not yet completely understand the impact that apartheid had on our country, because we cannot ignore it and say that it was in the past. We're still dealing with the effects of apartheid even today. So I want this to be an open conversation. So please hit me up. Tell me what you think. Tell me, if you feel that I am wrong or whatever, but these are my opinion. By no means am I saying that I am putting them on you, but this is how I feel about human rights. This is how I feel that as South Africans, we need to educate ourselves on Human Rights Day. So tell me what you think. Hit me up on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, or Snapchat, DK1 Original, and let's have an open conversation. All right, good hanging out with you guys. Cheers.